right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Monday stream. And of course, big news here because the weekend was wild, and we need to discuss, of course, what the implications of this are as the market starts to absorb the chances of a Republican win going up. Of course, this does mean large moves in the markets as each person has different policies, and this can lead into some big trades. But more importantly, US 30-year yield has just risen above the 2-year yield. I notice here ahead of the market open for the first time since January. We've seen it nudge a few times. Usually the deepest yield goes first, which is the 30, and then we get the 20, then we get the 10, and then we basically un-invert. Now, as you know, this is a huge bit of information in the markets, and of course, we'll need to discuss it. Here's what it looks like. You'll notice here that we get a un-inversion of yield briefly in January, and we are getting one this morning as well. So effectively, when this un-inverts, that could mean that we're getting closer to the end of a late cycle rally. It also means that many different things are starting to now play out in, of course, the world of finance. And I think most importantly, when you're looking at this, so we'll just quickly go here for a second. Basically, it has to do with the expectations of Trump presidency, which basically, I agree with Grok on this, will lead to a couple of things. Let's just quickly discuss this because it's very important for us to understand it. Of course, as usual, guys, we'll be going through everything from stocks to commodities to cryptos, big breakouts in Bitcoin, huge moves in small caps, and really a good chance now that we're going to see aggressive cutting. And we'll talk about that. Now, it's going to be different to any other cycle. Usually aggressive cutting is going to bring instantaneous crashes of markets because it effectively means that everything's going bad. But I think what's actually happening here is we're going to see deregulation, especially in the financial world. And that's going to lead into a huge amount of debt refinancing and very bad things. It looks like we're going to go into basically a super bubble. So we need to be on the lookout for this, as it will mean you get a lot of opportunity. And of course, also you need to be aware of the risks at the end. Let's quickly give everyone a shout out that's joining us here early. Big shout out there to Botmon. We've got TX Redman. I hope you do better, man. That's not good news about your house there. Unfortunately, he was affected by the storms recently. Much love to TX. And then we've got Frank as well. We've got Jan. We've got Aussie Cobber here from Australia, Adelaide, I believe. Mitch, Terry. And then we've got Justin, AC, Vincent A, Sounds of Nature, Left Field, Roman, Michael, Slay at Home and Dad, Silverson, and everyone else. All right, we will have a look at DJT stock in a moment. Also, we need to talk about Rumble as well and a few others. But I want to get into yields first. So let's just quickly read this statement here. I think people are interested in this because this is a huge shift in the markets. So basically, we are going to see yields most likely start dropping. This shift is attributed to market expectations of course, Trump presidency, which could lead to lower policy rates, increased deficit spending, and more expansive fiscal policy. The yield curve steepening is also influenced by bets of Trump's potential victory, blah, 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 blah. So basically, we're going to get some possible tax cuts. We're going to get tariffs, of course, on Chinese positions. Now, just so you know, tariffs don't work. Unfortunately, it sounds like it works, but it never does. We saw that with, of course, Russia. We've seen that before with China. What did they do? They went to Mexico. They made a whole bunch of warehouses there and put all the kind of cheap manufacturing there, and then it just filters back into America. So look, there's always a way around these things. But I think the key regulation here is deregulation. So this development has sparked discussions about the implications for the economy, including concerns over, of course, institutional issues, and most likely a huge impact on defense spending going up. So that obviously could push defense stocks. And then also what that's going to lead into in terms of effectively the market having to absorb a lot of debt writing. Now, if this debt writing does come in, what does that mean? Well, the Fed's going to have to cut to make its own repayments. Effectively, it's going to be very difficult for the US to make its own repayments at high yields. So that could also force fiscal policy down. So these are very, very interesting concepts here. And that's a big component of what we need to discuss moving forward, because it's going to have a position on a lot of different stocks. So let's just get started here with the ones that, of course, everyone's talking about. Rumble, of course, in the news, rightfully so, I guess, the alternative media in some ways. The stock has done poorly for a long time. And as we know, this stock tends to do poorly. Why? Because it's an IPO, and we know IPOs always do poorly at the start. but it actually already was leading into some bullishness last week. You'll notice here it snapped these wicks off, already started some bullishness. And to a degree, Rumble is a very interesting platform trade here because it actually has changed trend towards the upside. In fact, I would say this is not too bad. But what do you guys do? Do any of you out there use Rumble at all? I mean, I've been on it a couple of times. I don't know what I was doing. I think I was posting some stuff on it. But does anyone out there use this a lot? I'm interested to see in the chat whether you guys use it. Let me know. Got Rich Buddy coming in the house. Rich Buddy, how many Pateks you have now, man? I hope you have at least 4 Pateks, Richard. Marshall Law says, good morning. The dollar index is waking up. Yep, we'll talk about dollar in a moment. Obviously, DJT in a moment as well. Gold Rush says, morning, Tom. You can tell how busy the Monday was for you by the 1,000 tabs you have open. Look, I like to have a lot of data, Gold Rush. Hopefully, you guys enjoy the show. By the way, have you been enjoying the type of content that I've been putting out recently? Always interested in your feedback, whether you think I should do something a little bit different. Ultimately, you guys watch it, and I have to cater for what you guys need. So, I think we've bought some really good data. I've got some great sources now. They've been nice enough to give me extra information, extra sources. So it's been helpful to gain some edge in these markets. Had some good runs recently. Obviously, AMD on this stream, Intel, great. Tesla, great. Very, very good there. Anyway, that's a lot of X tabs there. You got to have a lot of tabs, man. If you don't have tabs, then you don't have success. Wayne says $2 Australian. Thank you very much, man. Greg says he uses Rumble. Slay at Home Dad says Rumble is legit. And good afternoon. Let's not talk football, please, says Wayne. That's all right. We're going to be talking about this and stocks. So yeah, I think this actual stock, even though it's only up 8.92% this morning, this could be an interesting one. I don't mind the weekly close, and I think it has already got some price action turns. I mean, obviously, it's been way higher back in March. It's a very interesting position to me just because I already think it's at a good technical level. So does it benefit from this possibility? Earnings coming up in a few weeks. I certainly think it could benefit here. And ultimately, it's already on a price action change. So certainly one that I would have on my charts and be watching very closely. And if not, already kind of thinking about it. All right. So people want to look at not the Dow Jones Transportation Average, but they obviously want to look at the Trump Media Company. This one up 47%. I believe it was up about 75% before. Now, this one, I don't know, guys. I do kind of think, thank you very much, Wahini Basway, for the $2. Much appreciated. Also, welcome to anyone that's joining us on X. Great to have you here. Thank you very much for joining us over there. So DJT, I know it's up 46%. I just don't know if it's replicable. The problem is that obviously it's hype training off everything. This is where I think the difference between maybe someone that's risk averse and someone that's kind of like wants to go gambler is kind of going to go into these positions. Look, did you have a gap down? Do you have a gap up? Sure. Is the position up 46.42%? Sure. If you were in it, congrats to you. I do think there's a lot more risk in this position. Obviously, you may get rewarded, but I wouldn't say there's a replication here. Ultimately, you might need to come down to how does it trade today and then look at the options market. I don't know if you guys agree, but to me, whenever I see a stock come out 46% out of the gates, obviously trading off hype, that doesn't excite me. I've been in the markets for a while. I've been doing this since 2007. I know a lot of you guys have a lot of experience. There's people there with 30 years of experience and even more, which usually you find that chasing these is not a great idea. But is it up 40+%? Absolutely. If you were targeting something, you'd be looking at around that 52. But what is 52 off the close? I guess that'd be about the 70%. Yeah, so it actually did trade there this morning in pre-market. I think this one is not so good. I'll be there. Punjabi says no, too bearish. And Marcus says yes, love the content. Thank you very much. No, too bearish, man. I'm surprised you think it's too bearish. I mean, obviously, you have to use a certain amount of at title stuff, but I think I've been pretty clear on our run here that we obviously expect to happen in the markets, which is late cycle, long term, on the medium long term in terms of the next 1 year to 2 years, fairly bullish. In fact, very bullish. We play a lot of stats. I do understand the titles, but yeah, you got to do what you got to do. All right, cool. Always enjoy. Good, good, good. Keep doing the market opens. We do look. We obviously have the Market Masters Club, and we always do these Mondays whenever we can. Rich Buddy says they're expensive, Tom, and I'm a smart man. I invest my money. I thought watches were an investment, Rich Buddy. Yeah, don't buy watches as an investment, guys. I like watches as well. I got a couple of really nice ones, but you never invested them. That's a bad idea. Yeah, yeah. There's a good chance they'll be cheaper in the future as well. I like that you're generally not too biased. Yep, I get biased when I go through there. Worth you trying to say my name? Oh my goodness. Wahinu Yakovitz. Yeah, I know. I nailed that, guys. Absolutely nailed the name. Thank you very much. So this is a bit of a difficult position, I think, and unfortunately, it will be difficult to make things. Now, I did talk to a few people about Tesla on the weekend, and I think this one is a clear, fairly decent runner winner because it has stats behind it. So it's benefiting here this morning from, of course, what happened in the events that went on the weekend. And by the way, I'll just say this, and I won't say too much on it because obviously I don't like getting too political. Uh, in my opinion, after looking at the vertical shots and stuff, and I'm sure a lot of you agree, how is it even possible this dude was allowed on these roofs? I don't. Unbelievable. There's a lot of people that are going to get fired for that. That is craziness. Like I was looking at the thing and I was like, what? There's like this dude videotaping it and stuff. It's just absolutely wild. Yeah, I have no idea how that happened. But anyway, the Secret Service, eh? Someone is not so secret, that's for sure. 257.85 up 3.88%. Now we did share some stats on this over on our X. Let's see if we can bring that up for you guys. We will go back to the profile over here and we'll scroll down. By the way, we'll go talk Bitcoin soon. Bitcoin's getting wild. Here it is. So this was a good one here from Optima. By the way, shout out to Optima. I've talked to them. They're pretty cool. They've got some great software, some crazy stats that you can pull on it. Obviously, you do need to do a little bit of self-code, but you can get some cool stuff. So anyway, they went and pulled this one together. 9 consecutive days up on Tesla absolute returns past that point. Now, obviously, not too many reads recently, but we do have a couple of reads here. 100% win rate over the next 21 days to an average gain of 18.62%, 16.39% median. So basically, very, very strong movements here. And I think that's helped by really, obviously, Elon instantly endorsed Trump and all of those types of things. I think the market will like what it's seeing. Just remember, to me, it was already going to probably try to bull up. But I think this is a chart that you will want to pay attention to. So 9 consecutive days up generally means that markets are finding a little bit more bull. Let's have a quick look at I've lost my charts here. Sorry about that. But anyway, you saw it on my weekend video, which basically shows the Tesla options. And we know that 250 was the big strike. So we are currently above the 250 strike. That is positive gamma situation. And it's kind of pointing towards a new high being formed on Tesla as well. It's not as easy and clear cut as it was the other day when we talked about it down here. And we obviously got very, very bullish on it. And boy, oh boy, did it really pay out big time. But I want to just kind of reiterate, there's nothing wrong with taking a bit of profit off the table in the first TP zone. This is a very good TP zone. Obviously, it may go to continue on. We've got take profit 2 zone and take profit 3 zone. But yeah, this is going to benefit from a few things. Benefit from good stats, benefit from the possibilities here that could go through. And I think that also it benefits from the positive gamma and most importantly, the option situation. So 250 is the major strike and we are starting to come up there. So yeah, very, very cool to see that going through. Matt's live stream got cut short for a phone call. Says Stu, Mion says, bro, your tabs are giving me anxiety. It's all right, man. I know where all of them are. When you've got all the tabs and you know where they are, that means you know what's going on. You do need a lot of tabs. You got to remember when I'm pulling information for you guys all the time, I have a lot of tabs. Like that's pretty much what you get in the daily show up the top there. Our country invests best in tech, but then our politicians sell it off to private gains. Other countries get our tech first. Yeah, I think the US does tend to have best innovation. I mean, basically, why we all love the US as a market, there's a few things. Number one, the US dollar is incredibly strong. Having the major big news. Do look into this. Of course, I've been discussing the idea that gold, which we'll go into in a moment, is going to change this game. Also, number two, the thing is, yes, we've got the US dollar as the major, but as the number two thing here, we know that the US has some of the greatest minds in the world and therefore the best innovation, incredible innovative companies that are obviously leading into the AI run. So, look, the thing with the US is it has the best tech, and that's just how it is. All right, let's continue through here. What do you think of Lyft? What do you think of a few other things? We'll check that out in a moment. So let's kind of go through. I do think Tesla looks strong, positive gamma. First target this week would be around 275 and then 300. And I feel like it can do those in this run. We did see IWM obviously break out. My feeling on IWM is very strong. A lot of people calling this a false break. I doubt it. Especially with what happened on the weekend. It's starting to drop yield curve expectations a little bit. That is, basically forced cuts coming through. That's obviously semi-bullish for US 2K, and deregulation in banks as well would be semi-bullish for KRE. And if we know anything about Russell 2000, it's made up about 20% of regional banks. So some big stuff there. So I do think this is real. I reckon it's going to 2250 from a technical level. And pullbacks should be met by bull demand. So, some big significant changes here. All right. So Russell 2000, quite strong. We've covered Tesla. Obviously, looks like it's positive gamma. Rumble has a pretty interesting turn on it already that was appearing last week, which is being strengthened further today. And now I just want to go through Bitcoin for a moment because this one has been a very nice day trade so far. And I feel like we're getting closer and closer to the initial targets. We actually just hit kind of that 63K. I feel like we can get to 64-ish possibly. Obviously, I believe above here will be significant for crypto. A lot of people are kind of attributing this to what happened on the weekend. I actually think it was setting up for it anyway. Obviously, we always want an excuse for why things occur. Just remember, in trading, guys, we've got over 1,000 people joining us here for this big Monday. Whenever you look at these markets, you've got to always realize that it's not so much the reasoning behind why they're moving, because you'll forget that in a week's time. It's the price action switches that matter. So I posted this before any of the events occurred, and I said pretty much as soon as we get above that 60 Gs, we're going to, real bull pretty hard. I thought into about 64K. And then if we get through 64K, in my opinion, put the low in. I think we already might have put the low in on Bitcoin, but we probably put the low in. And pullbacks will be met by bull demand. Now, people attribute this to all sorts of things. Of course, the information about Trump and what happened and all this other stuff. Again, I think the markets were already prepping for it. And you can kind of see as well, a lot of shorts would have been trapped in this zone around 60,000. And I feel like a lot of people are getting squeezed. Heaps of haters on the weekends as well. Unfortunately, whenever you're kind of making a decision that's against the general trend, when you clearly see it on the price action charts, kind of same thing happened on Tesla a few weeks ago, most people will be screaming for it to die. And that's when you get those mega turns. If you think about a month ago, how many of you out there actually thought, let's see, hands up in the chat, did you actually think Tesla would go back up to 270? Or were you saying the thing's dead going to $100? Be honest. Come on, chat. I want to see your comments. Let's see what you've got here. BTC getting hot. I tend to agree with you. We've also got a 10-to-1 MSTR split? Is that right? So that will be, is it 10-to-1? I think 10-to-1 split that people are expecting, which is sending that's up anyway. But yeah, I feel like it's happening. Terry McAllister, thank you very much, Terry. Great to have you back. $20 super sticker. Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated for your support. Always good. So yeah, MSTR, another combo that some people like to go at. Not my one. I prefer Bitcoin and Ethereum, but yeah, good signs coming out for both Bitcoin, Ethereum, and of course, I think that one might be getting a stock split. Goldman Sachs also reporting this morning, guys, pretty much hitting target, down 0.14 or something like that %, but again, hitting on the major targets. And you'll notice here we get a blitz in the previous session of Ethereum as well. So that's leading into this very important zone. And I personally would be looking heavily at Bitcoin to break that 64K. And if it can do that, then probably swing traders will start to come in. Didn't think Tesla would find highs again so quickly, says Brian. Look, we got to be, honest in terms of where that is so funny. Someone's like, is that an X video I see there? Nah, bro. But you can look at my tabs. It's all good. Tesla up 10 bucks already before market open. Sure. Brian being honest there. Tesla down. Tesla. I don't like Tesla. Fair enough. But the thing is that you weren't probably expecting such a big move. Again, the major catalyst for Tesla was actually the earnings event. Kind of bad earnings. Market was oversold, rallied that thing through, and then pulled back and then started consolidating. And that's where Wall Street built that big position. So we saw a huge trade go through here, and then we saw that gap fill after it got a bit more bullish, and of course it was off. Now, my expectation was this level here, past 200. As soon as we got past that zone there, we were pretty much going here, and yeah, that's what eventuated. Again, is it replicable? Kind of is. Let's go through two of the stocks that we liked last week, just so we can talk about them. I want to go AMD first. Now, AMD's up a little bit here in this morning, but I would actually mark out this week 187, guys. This is going to be the key level to breach. So 187 is going to be that big area. We close above 187. That's probably going to lead into, I would say, fairly explosive moves for AMD. It is at our first resistance, pretty much take profit zone. So similar to AMD, Intel is trading the same way. They're actually both laggards in the industry that are playing catch up at the moment. So you'll notice here again, we kind of got a lot of options flow from Intel last week. Again, thanks, Terry, for the generous super chat. And then we hit this first TP. And again, I think that's where we'd be pricing out a break. So we get a break past 35.50. AMD does a break at the same time. These two stocks probably will be synergized with each other, being kind of the major chips that are super behind all the other chip manufacturers. I would think that they will play catch up and do okay. So certainly worthwhile watching those this week. Another one will be the energy sector as well, but we'll go through that in a moment. Let's go gold. Okay, let's talk gold, silver. Anyone in gold, silver at the moment? Hands up in the chat. Anyone in it? Let's have a look. Marshall Law says, I won't be buying Tesla until 40, 50 bucks. Fair enough, dude. And Andrea says, I had a target, 258 target on Tesla, but sold at 240. Don't worry, man. You made good money. Congrats to you, Andrea. Doesn't matter if you had a profit target. You probably should have held it. Would have been better, but it doesn't mean that it's a bad trade. You just got to kind of assess, why did you take it early? Were you scared? Did you have too much leverage on? Because I bet you if you only had $100 of risk on it, you probably would have stuck to it. But yeah, still very, very good. Phil says, war doesn't stagnate tech, it increases it. All the best inventions and innovations usually come from the war. Well, generally, Phil is correct. We do get mass innovations due to, basically, it's kind of like necessity. When people do amazing things, and there's two ways to look at this. Let's say you believe what I'm kind of saying, and you say, okay, look, Tom, I do think we're late cycle. I do think gold's starting to show us signs. I do think the uninversion of the yield curve in the future is going to be a problem. And this is regardless of who gets in as president in the US or anything in the world. It's kind of like locked in. That's what I think. I think we've stuffed the system, and eventually it's going to go, a couple of years is what I think. Anyway, let's just say you think that. It's amazing how innovative people are during the recessionary periods. In fact, that's when you get these amazing startup companies coming through. And innovation tends to really do well out of recessions, as well as it tends to do very well, obviously, yes, you're right, in periods of necessity. Basically, it's necessity that causes that. So that's a pretty big one. Tesla forming a cup and handle, interesting concept in GDX. Cool, very cool. Gold and silver and copy. Oh, Adrian doesn't care. He's just going all the metals. Gold, silver, and copy. He's even going. I like it how you've got like a little nickname for it. Thank you also to the almost 1,300 people here. Appreciate you watching. If you're on X, follow us along. If you're on YouTube, definitely check us out as well. I'm in GDX Gold Miners ETF, says Stu. Very cool. I'm shorting gold today. Baba, get out. What's going on here? Barber's a hater on gold. Silver since 2011, still a dog. Oh, Richard. No, silver since 2011. But this actually brings up the point that I want to get into. And let's just quickly have a look at gold. Well, let's just assess it as a chart, because Richard brings up probably the most important point, and that is that when you look at gold, and maybe this is not the best gold to look at. Let's see if we can get a bit more history on gold here. And you look at the history, it really has been in what we call a lost decade. 2011 gold all the way to this year here, it's a loser. Okay. It sucks. Yeah. So when you think about it, has gold become any less? What are the countries that love gold? India, China in particular. Obviously, Russia also likes it. And then, of course, you've got, in general, most world central banks hold a certain amount of it. Now, are we finding that much more? Not really. And when you think about it, it's the oldest currency in the world. So really, gold should be doing better than it has. And this is what gold does. It has periods of extremely good action and terrible action. And that is very consistent. You can see here a horrible period for gold, a horrible period for gold, huge rally that causes a bust. And that's what probably is going to happen here. To me, obviously, I've said gold 3,000 a few times now over the next kind of 12, 18 months. And I still feel like that's quite possible. Now, let's have a look at the chart itself. We've got 20 moving average on the weekly still holding up. We obviously have some strong closures over the last week, which led into us thinking that buys would come off the pullbacks. And we're pressing the top here. So a few people are going to try to short this top. I understand why you might do that. You're saying, okay, resistance, resistance, resistance. But you do need to remember this is going into a series of higher highs and higher lows. So gold, I think, looks pretty good. We'll move over to silver in a moment. GDX and small junior miners breaching out big time, though. So let's just quickly look here. Of course, GDX breaking to a new high. So that's significant, kind of pushing that 42 narrative maybe in the future for this stock. And pretty much all the combos starting to move out as well. So if we look at gold juniors, VanEck gold junior miners here, you can see really beautiful breaches back early in March when we started to really like these juniors, and they're catching up big time. And they're really down. So since where they were in August, we're still looking at a differential. Remember, gold is way higher than this point of 28%. So juniors are super behind, gold stocks are super behind, and they're starting to play catch up. And the way you do this combo, everyone, is you verse gold. So you go GDXJ verse gold. And what you're going to notice here is it's starting to bull in a pretty big way. So if you go to a downward trend, you might notice something. And that's a downward trend. I think that's pretty consistent. Anyone disagree that that's a pretty bad trend down and that it's just done some significant shifts? I think probably all of us can see that. This is kind of pointing towards maybe it's time for gold stocks to pick up versus gold. And this is like, if you believe in geopolitical tensions, if you believe in instability in the world, if you're scared of everything out there, that's what makes gold kind of powerful. So to me, when you look at these combos, that's pretty interesting. The other combo that a lot of people are looking at is silver versus gold, because of course you can also draw a pretty nasty downward trend. We saw that shift recently led us into, of course, looking at silver a little bit more aggressively, and it's been doing quite nicely. We first noticed it actually down here in March. Again, a lot of March turns. So if we go to silver, which we'll load up now, you'll notice it has a pretty good weekly. It has some interesting charts on it. I'm interested to see whether it can go bullish today because silver needs to get past 31. I think a 31 plus breach, that would be pretty strong for silver. So I'm definitely setting alerts at that level. And at the moment, I'm wondering whether it can still find buyers here because, of course, it needs to hold this level of demand. So silver, series of kind of weakness in recent times. If that switches during today's session and bulls through 31, could be kind of strong. So certainly some interesting stuff there. And I do agree the gold mining stocks looking a little bit better across the board. Charles saying here, gold's gone east. Yeah, it's mostly in the east. That's correct, where the popularity is, but we're the largest populations in the world. I think you're aware. 1,300 people coming in. Welcome, guys. We've discussed so far Rumble, DJT, obviously discussed our thoughts on Russell 2K, finding some big bullish movement here, and yields, the uninversion of the 30-year curve, certainly coming through there. Arthur says GLD, GC, and GDX here. Cool. And Stu says, I think Zimbabwe just took the gold standard to reset inflation was out of hand. Yeah, their inflation was absolutely insane. And Charles says here, how does the 30-year affect utilities, energy, and gold? Or is there any? I think, look, that's going to be made a lot of story of. I'm probably going to talk about it in our video at the end of Monday. Look, the 30-year is not the most important yield curve. It looks terrifying when people mention US 2 versus 30. It often uninverts and it gives you a lot of poor signals. So, for people that say, oh, you're always bearish on markets and stuff. Look, I'll assess that situation. And obviously the US versus 2-year versus 30-year, most people will go heavy bear on it. It's not a proven bear signal. The proven bear signals are generally US 3-month versus 10-year and 2-year versus 10-year. They're the most important ones. What this is telling you, though, is that we're starting to get into that case of maybe getting some cuts realistically coming through, which would be super different to what other cycles have done in the past. Generally, we don't cut. When we start cutting, it usually causes some big problems over the next 12-month period. This time, we have to reassess because, of course, they're going to have to cut so that they don't have to keep printing treasuries, because at the moment, treasuries are going out of control. Rich Bay says, what, 2400? Wow, I bought the gold. I have it at 1350. Very cool. And Tomos says, Tom, would you say Newmont goes to positive gamma situation? It surpasses 48. You'd have to look at the options market there, man. But Newmont, which is I think it's the world's biggest now. I think it overtook Barrick when they bought one of the Australian mines out. Very strong movement. I mean, look, there's no joke. Look at this. Is that a downward trend line? Yes. Is that a switch of trend? Absolutely. Is that consolidation? Yes. Does that look like a breakout? Does to me. And it kind of points towards, again, pullbacks being met by Builderman. And I'm not kidding you when I say that, like, the price action changes here are very significant across the gold board. So big one there. Gold Rush says, hoping gold goes to low 2000s soon. Well, I kind of don't want that to happen, but but certainly that would be there. Richard Frank says silver was cornered in 1980 and hit all-time highs. Gold-silver ratio is promising, yet it's a very bad performer with zero yield. You'd be surprised. I mean, it could do okay in lowering yield environment, but not during a consistent low yield environment. As the yield goes down, though, as it cuts down, if that's what's going to happen, I wouldn't be surprised to see gold do quite well. Discover says, hey, Tom, can you have a look at N phase and MP? Let's have a look at N phase. Now, this is an interesting one because this should not do well. I know they were all moving last week, and certainly solar was starting to improve, but this should be technically a loser based on the political discussions over the obviously the metrics and the predictions now that are going on. I don't think solar and clean energy are necessarily the major winners here. One of the stocks that I am watching or stock sectors that I'm watching quite closely is energy. So energy started to show some real signs of turn. Of course, 92 would be a swing trader's kind of very happy mode. That would be a great closure above. But the energy stocks could move quite nicely forward. But yes, N phase there. Not much to really report on this. I don't think it's going to have a great day today, and that's probably no surprise. We'll just quickly give a shout out here. A few people coming in with some questions. Andrea, thank you very much for the $5, saying, Tom, can you have a look at next gen energy and uranium producer, please? We certainly can, because we're liking uranium stocks at the moment. And then Rob Lee coming in with the super chat. We'll check it out in a moment. So in phase, again, started to look good. Showed us an island reversal, pulling back today, 4.5. Probably hold, just chill for a moment. Solar stocks, if we look at TAN, they started a really good ramp. But again, I can see them struggling here. So is this the beginning of a Wyckoff bottom? It looked like it. I think there are better places, though, for rotation based on the evidence that we've maybe started to see in markets. Let's answer this question about NXE, because I do think that uranium stocks are starting to look a lot better. So this stock obviously broke to the high, which doesn't surprise me because most uraniums were breaking out. And it has an okay turn. Let's have a look at the weeklies. Okay, so we like that. So that's actually very similar to what happened on Tesla recently. A huge amount of dojis, effectively a channeling market, range bound. And then we get a decision, which has pushed it up higher. So it looks pretty good. First target, if you were just trading, would be 8 and 825, it looks like. But I feel like there could be more in these. And if we have a look at uranium, which we've got down here, you can see this is one of the stock sectors we were talking about leading into this, which basically breached last week. Might come down a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see it back at about 30 bucks and 30 cents. And then I'd like to see it find a buyer here and do this. So certainly one to be watching on the charts. Thank you very much for the super chat. Rob Lee says, "Hey Tom, I've been waiting for a buy signal on Hyatt and Race for a while. Do you think they're at breaking point?" Let's have a look at Hyatt first. Is this the one? I think it is. Is this the breakout? Okay. So weekly, yeah, I guess. I mean, daily first time breakout high. That is a breakout. Inverse head and shoulders to some degree. You can kind of almost ignore that one because it's a earnings bust candle. So you could say inverse head and shoulders, breakout. I'd say so. It has some of the good signs. Weekly, let's just look at that again. I do love my weekly candles. It's okay. I would say yes, it technically is broken out. Next one, Race, Ferrari, Lewis Hamilton. Obviously, anyone here watch F1? Sure, a few of you do. Lewis Hamilton obviously going to Ferrari next year, although it looks like Mercedes have come back pretty strong term. Yeah, that does look like a consolidation pattern into a breach. Good weekly close. And theoretically, it's a breakout in the direction of up. It's going to be hard to justify this one. But as you'll notice, it's got that kind of thing that I like, which is you get the first move. I'll tell you guys a little bit of a hint here. So when you get this first move, you generally kind of take that move and then you extrapolate it. See how that did that? See how that distance is the same as the secondary distance? And then generally what will happen, this is kind of, in some ways, Elliott wave theory, although I don't really love Elliott wave, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. You'll usually get around a similar pullback. So you've got the similar distance, and then you've got the same distance again, and then that obviously gives you your target for the third. Now, where I'm going to throw this a little bit on its head is to say you never get the full extension generally of the third. So you might think, oh, look at me, I'm going to take profit up here. I would generally go with a 75 to 80% of your expectation rule here. You'll find the third leg, that is the third predictable move, is usually less. I find that a lot when it comes to these tradings. I watch F1, cool. Can we have a look at PLTR? Certainly can. Yeah, so I usually find that's what we tend to get when it comes to these positions. So 75 to 80% of the move itself. About 26 minutes off the open here, guys. We'll go through the earnings season. Obviously, Netflix coming in this week. Goldman Sachs has reported okay. But yeah, with Ferrari, technically you are correct. It is a breakout. That's what you'd be aiming for, though, about 75 to 80% of that move. Gold Rush says Ferrari already pumped in the Hamilton news. Yeah, I was just making a statement. It has absolutely nothing to do with the Hamilton news. This is just price action, doing price action stuff. Don't worry about the narrative. The Hamilton news is just something you mentioned. It look, to be real, I doubt it was even a hugely relevant thing to the stock price. I know the stock price moves, but there's probably another reason as well. It's been a pretty good F1 season this year. I agree. Kevin says, totally agree. Third leg never as big. Absolutely. And Richard says, within 5 years, the electric F1 cars will be faster and different manufacturers. Ravi says, hey, Tom, can you have a look at Hood? Yeah, so Hood's been a really good position. I've liked this one for a while. We've been talking about it in our Market Masters Club. Actually, I'll put the banner on. Here we go, guys. Oh, not that one. We don't want that banner, guys. We don't. Where are we? Here we go. That's the one. So if you ever want to join, you can do so. Free 7-day trial, links in the description below. But yeah, this one I've liked pretty much since here. Been very bullish on this pair, and I continue to be pretty bullish on Hood. I feel like it's got a decent upside potential in it. Obviously, elections coming up, that creates a lot of hype into markets. That means that retail brokerage platforms can do better. Crypto obviously improving here also helps Hood, and we've got a lot of consolidation. You can see I've got an alert just above this price, which is 23.38, and there's nothing really in between this area. So really from 23.38 all the way up to around 35, 34 kind of area, I don't really see much resistance. So this stock could get wild pretty quickly. Certainly an interesting one. And I've liked Hood, and I don't see a bearish sign in that just yet. So quite good here. Probably right, Kevin. Yes. Just like Tesla shouldn't do good with Trump in office, right, Tom? I don't think so. I think it would do okay. You've got to remember Tesla is transforming itself into an AI company. Elon, pretty good friends with Trump, I feel. I don't know. I mean, I'm not really here to speculate on that. Ultimately, I just follow price action, but the market, he instantly endorsed him. So I feel like there's a little game being played there. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Plus, it's technically manufacturing at home in the US, which a lot of policies will go for. So I would say it's bullish. Would China stocks be bad in Trump winning? Yeah, it's an interesting one. Obviously, tariffs. Look, ultimately, let's be real. Again, I'll say this. I said at the start of the video, tariffs don't work. What tends to happen with tariffs is they tend always to go into just getting a workaround to it. This case, what happens, China manufactures in Mexico and ships into the US from Mexico. That's what happened last time. That is what will happen again. So if you have a look at the HSI, which I loved last week's price action, it's down a little bit here today. You'll notice it's coming down. This is probably normal. So I actually really loved this price action last week. I thought it was sweet and it looked really good. So this, could come down all the way to a 61.8, about 17.8, and still be theoretically bullish. I would like to see a bull candle come out. So right now, to me, it's already looking bullish, but I want to see a bull candle. Okay. We get a bull candle. That's a huge deal. Yeah. Certainly a good one. Thanks for your thoughts. No worries. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, guys. And thanks for everyone that's liked the video. If you enjoy the content, then definitely give it a thumbs up. Apple 235 pre-market. Wow. Anyone use the new Apple Vision Pro? Anyone like it? Let me know your opinions in the chat and we'll have a quick discussion about it. Apple still target 240. I almost apologize for this one because I've got to say I'm a bit salty. I recognized it, but not really at a great risk reward. So I recognized it more around like 193. I feel like this position is a classic island reversal position, off the news as a catalyst. Really probably should have been picking up more in here. And yeah, as I've said, for a few weeks now, even around this price, I do believe this is going to 240. 240 is the logical target for Apple. So pretty close to there today. I still think 240. And I still think Google's underpriced. So we'll see whether that's one of our three pillars. So Google and Microsoft and NVIDIA. And NVIDIA, obviously the bubbly stock. Then again, Microsoft's too expensive as well. What are your thoughts on NVIDIA, says Blue Wave. Let's have a look here. NVIDIA thoughts. Probably not much change from the weekend. Up 1.52. Could benefit from some tariffing, I guess. I don't really know. Probably not. Overall, I don't think tariffs ever really work too well anyway. You can see here that we get this rejection off the 135. I felt like we could hit a 140 last week, but this sell-off here, it really tells me that this is doing this. And this is normal. It's perfectly normal. I just feel like NVIDIA is going to have a chill. As an investor, would I care? No. As a trader, would I care? I guess yes, I would be wanting to try to get lowering price. This is not a bad area. We mentioned it the other day. We thought 120, 115, 120 is kind of like where all the options levels say buyers will be. And this is exactly what we saw only a few months ago. Remember, we got underperformance. We led into our first TP zone, first area of interest, which was 78 equivalent now. I thought that was an excellent buy zone. I thought this was also possible at 68. It held for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, which is pretty normal, and then rallied through. And I think that's kind of where we are with NVIDIA, leading into the earnings report, which comes out in mid-August. So I kind of think it's sideways. Do I have much edge on it today? Probably not. I wouldn't really touch it with like at the moment. I just don't think there's that much edge in this stock. Why do you only mention mega caps? Well, it's about people's interest. And also, you've got to, Zomba, this is a really important thing. When you first start trading, remember the life cycle of the investor. I'll just say this one last time. The life cycle of the investor, you come in, you buy Disney, Microsoft, Apple, Google, NVIDIA, and you hold a portfolio. You make a bit of money because it goes up. And you think, how good is this? Then you find out about mid caps and you go off into the mid cap world. Then you find out about small caps. Wow, penny stocks up 400% in a day. Geez, I've got to trade those. Then you lose a bunch of money. And then you come right back around to large caps again. You can make, it's not about the dollar move in trading, Zomba, and anyone else out there. It's about the ratio. So what that means is that when you're trading, it's about ratio. If you put down $1,000 and you make $3,000, that's not 300% return. That's a 3-to-1 ratio. And if you're risking, let's say 1 or 2% of your account, that could be anywhere from 3% to 6% return. That's how trading kind of works. If you trade really small cap stocks, there's two problems. It doesn't hit that Warren Buffett rule that I really like. Generally, when you trade a stock, you really do want the stock ideally to be on the market for 5 years. I know Hood, etc. Yeah, I get it. But generally, you want it on 5 years because that means that it's unlikely to go bust-a-ramus on you quickly. It's been kind of regulated to a degree by all of the people watching the books, plus the algorithms. The second thing that you want to do is you want to think about market cap size because, of course, you need certain levels of predictability and stability, and that comes with options. You need options markets to be strong. You need it to be liquid. If you trade illiquid positions, you will lose, and you'll get stuck in trash stocks. Someone in the chat, help the man. We need to help you, Zomba. We will not let you go down. Noah says, don't forget about options. Absolutely. Qualcomm, I hear that their new laptop AI chipset is so powerful. Sorry, he's had a coughing fit. Graphics cards could soon become like old sound cards, obsolete. Is that true? Really? QCOM. 202. Looks horrible on a chart, frankly. Look at it. Looks like one of those nasty head and shoulders, the ones you don't want to see. But again, this is consistent with what we're seeing in semis right now. Yeah, I can't tell you about the chip, but if the chip comes out and it's cool, that'd be cool. What I would do is semiconductors versus SPY. We share this chart quite a lot. We've got 15 minutes-ish, 16 minutes till the open. We'll check out the things in a moment. So you can see here, semiconductors versus SPY goes up, comes down, exactly as you'd say predicted, but really just kind of think at the moment. And we're looking for, I want to see it down here. This is a delish. That's what we want. We want the consistency that we've seen before and found before. We found this over here, and I want to find it again. And that's ideally what I'd be looking for. And I don't think it's worth as a trader to chase things. As an investor, do you care? It's different. Semiconductors are in a bubble. I don't see them really falling off a cliff just yet. They look pretty strong still. It's down to earnings. And at the moment, all you have is the evidence that they're still bullish. So an investor is going to say, I don't care. A trader is going to say, I want the right price. Tom, why is Google always trading at lower PE than the Mag 7 has been accumulating over this year? I have been accumulating. Congrats to you, Discover. Some great returns. I want to enter Microsoft. No, it's crap price, but it always is expensive. What could be an entry price? I don't even know if there is one anymore, Discover. You know it's my favorite stock. I crapped on about this stock for years. It's not soothsaying that it has the best moat in the market, one of the best moats in the market, but you can't, how can you buy this thing? Honestly, it's at 39x. or 50x or something like this. Stupid. I think it's 39x. It's too much x. I mean, the logical conclusion is weekly mean reversion, which is this 20 moving average thing. That's where you're pretty much looking at it. But I don't know. It doesn't really excite me. The position's great. It's got a great moat, but you're going to get it through indices and stuff. I just feel like Microsoft's, it's probably even toppy a little bit here. Yeah, it's very difficult. Now, why is Google trading in a cheapness? Well, it's underperformed in all its growth curves. So really, what's Google done? I encourage you, go and have a look at this. Check out Google's, like obviously YouTube's a fantastic platform. Love you, YouTube. Algorithm, please be good. And I do love YouTube. I use it all the time. I bought the premium and all that stuff. And obviously we've got a great channel here thanks to you guys. Shout out to you. But ultimately, they do seem to have a lot of failures. And what I mean by that is they've got like 50 canned projects over the years. So the market doesn't like that. And that's partly why it undervalues it. They don't like the growth trajectory curves. And they're scared of TikTok. Michael says, what's going on with Vail? I want to have a look at Vail. Iron ore. Nothing. What do I do here? What do I do? Nothing. It's just basically sitting at the low, Michael. Nothing that really turning around here. Chris says small caps should go up in the short term due to rate cuts. Correct. That is generally correct. But really, it's just price action. Don't worry about the rate cuts. Don't worry about any of that stuff. It's all narratives. What's the price action tell you on small caps? And we'll do the rundown now. Let's get into it. So US 2K is very strong. That's a real serious weekly breakout, guys, coming off a lot of consolidation. It leads into a 225 number. So it's pretty strong. Bitcoin's pretty strong right now. I like both. Of course, I'm also a fan of gold. We do need to see a big breakout high to get it really onto it. Let's have a look now at the earnings season. Somewhere here, I've got the earnings season. Let's see. Where have I put that? Where did I put it? I know I've got it here somewhere. I must have dumped it. All right. That's okay. We can get a new one up. So what we'll do is we'll just use Earnings Watcher for a second. I like Earnings Watcher. He's a cool guy. I've chatted to him a few times. And I like it mostly just because he puts in the expected options move. So I encourage you, if you're interested, you can go check him out next. He's just a little channel. Why not give him some love, eh? So here we go. And we've got here Netflix on Thursday, guys. This is going to be a ±9. We'll look at the stock in a moment. Goldman Sachs came out with earnings, certainly not a ±5. I think it's still a bit flat. United Health, often an interesting stock as well. And then we have TSMC as well, TSM, which we'll need to look at. Now, this stock is on a flyer at the moment. So TSM and Netflix are the earnings of this week. That's really the most important component. It's expected now that banks will report pretty well, bit of weakness in the future, but generally report quite strong numbers. And the airports and airplane companies, they're going to do all right. So let's have a quick look at Goldman Sachs to start off with. GS flat, very strong overall chart leading into this. So really lived up to expectations generally. Let's have a look at Netflix. Netflix expected to be a ±9% move. Now, where are we? Right at the highs. What did Netflix just do? Ups the price and changed the ads and did all the stuff. I don't really like the stock here. You just can't. It's at the all-time high. Yes, it's in a bullish trend. Don't get me wrong, it's bullish trend, but I don't really love it. I don't think there's that much edge here. It's going to be a ±9. I would say this one is a patience play and look at the reaction afterwards. There may be a good catalyst jump. Like I remember we had good earnings, the thing dropped through to a support. Maybe we have good or bad earnings. I don't know. And the market could drop back down to the support. What do you guys think? Do you reckon this is worth having a pre-earnings crack at, or do you think it's better to wait till post? Let's see what the chat thinks. I invest mostly and don't trade. No worries, Zumba. Cool, man. Hey, Tom, can you explain how you see the options market on NVIDIA to see positions with options? Yeah, I can. I'll probably do it in a video, frankly, just to help more people. In general, you get a little bit of edge off being able to recognize usually option structures, which I'm starting to put in. If you like that, we can use option structures. Clearly, you see with NVIDIA, the main options market is all gearing towards earnings. So there's pretty much very chill options until earnings. And then, of course, you want to talk about positive and negative gamma. Due to the fact that we have so many options trades going through, especially for S&P 500 and Qs, you are going to get some edge from zero DTEs there. Apple Vision Pro is Apple first spatial computer. The price of Apple Vision Pro is not meant for mass market, and it will do well if they come out with more. So generally speaking, it's like the iPad and the iPhone. The first iPhone, I loved it, but it was 2G internet. I mean, let's be real, that sucks. The second iPhone, the 3G one, amazing. The first iPad, frankly, I think it sucked. I remember it. It sucked. Software sucked. It sucked. It was trash. iPad 2, amazing. The second is good. No worries, Dim Sum. Thank you very much. There's a little bad chat here. Wait and React. DJT. Yeah, we checked it out before. We'll have a look at it again, but really it is a little bit gamble all there. Do like the movement in Rumble, though. Changed the game in the last quarter. TEH. What's that? I don't know. All right. No. Wait a second. We have it as one of the pillars. We love Google, but we also think that the price is it's behind the others. ASML. Let's have a look at ASML, and then we'll look at TSM, and then we'll go over some others. 8 minutes till the market open, guys. We'll cover everything in just a moment. Obviously, small caps, the focus of today, and a few positions, including Tesla in the pre-market. Yields also to be watched, US 2-year and 10-year this week. And in regards to the news, it's mostly an earnings season week. So it's going to be Thursday. That's the one. ASML, this is just breaking to the upside. I don't really see anything that's showing significant weakness other than exhaustion of this current bull run. So it's exhausted. That doesn't mean it's going to turn to the downside, though. Currently holding the daily 20. So maybe look at the daily 20 for turns. It's currently bullish. TSM and HIMX have been plays for me for a while. Congrats, pretty good. TSM, certainly a popular one. I think it makes up a huge percentage of the Taiwan market as well, like maybe 20% of the market. It's pretty concentrated. So TSM here at 188.54, very, very bullish into it. You can see it's just basically been rallying up. I think it's up 40% since the last earnings. So it's pricing in some need for big earnings. 3 days. I'm not going to bet. I don't know, but we'll find out. Arthur says, I followed Earnings Watcher for 3 months. His data and conclusions were mostly incorrect. Well, I'm not sure about that part, Arthur, but what I can say is I like the plus minus on the chart. So just for that alone, I would certainly consider it. The percentage moves are good here. Kevin says, Tom ranting on Apple products. Ask Tom about his ex-Tesla. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I did have 2 Teslas. I don't have them anymore. But, you know, they were all right. Except for the phantom braking, which was real. In Australia, anyway. No worries, John. Thank you very much. TSM is like 9% of my emerging markets ETF. There you go, Richard. It's emerging. It's emerging, Richard. It's emerging. Can you have a look at PLTR? I did promise I would look at that. So let's have a look at PLTR. Palantir. Is this up a bit? 1.64%. That's a breach. That's pretty good. I mean, yeah, it's the target I had from down here. I guess it's tagging a target, but I also feel like it's probably got more in it. It's a very nice trend here. Good bull, good support bases, higher highs, higher lows. In general, looks pretty strong. It's hitting one of the first targets and up in the pre-market 1.64%. And it looks like it's breaching out. If you're in it, I don't think it's that bad here. Chris says, got rid of my Tesla as well. Interested to see why. Thank you very much, Stu. Appreciate that. Why you got rid of your Tesla, Chris? Let us know. What was your reason? How about Meta? Seems to be losing strength. I tend to agree though I did notice they allowed Trump back on the weekend as well. Not sure what the stock is doing. Look, Meta to me, I don't really understand the stock. I From a business perspective, price action's price action. I'll trade anything and invest in stuff. But yeah, this seems to me like a business that's in its final stages. Like, I don't know where the growth curve is going to come from. Does anyone know? Put the growth curve into the chat. It's doing great numbers, but yeah, interesting. Do you think Max and Disney could eat Netflix's lunch? Probably not. I think Netflix is doing a good job of reinventing their platform into sports and a few other things. Coin. Yeah, Coin's going to be up a decent amount here this morning. 4 minutes till the market open, guys. We'll cover off a couple of the trades. So Coin up 5%. That's not that great considering Bitcoin's move. Bitcoin not in the swing yet, so this could be still undervalued a little bit from, not really, I guess. It's been up and holding. So yeah, it's okay. I mean, I think this is a good accumulation base for the stock. Bitcoin is doing really nice. Of course, I did say over on X that I felt like this move was going to be very strong past this high up here. It did it, and it's bulling super hard. So that's exactly what I expect here. Do you think Meta is an artificial intelligence play? Generally speaking, yes, that's what it is. But I'm not sure what state of the artificial intelligence it's at. Like, say, like Apple is the clear hardware play. The initial play is hardware generally. So consumer hardware. So generally you get hardware plays first. That's all the semiconductors and NVIDIA. Then you get kind of like your general prosumer stuff, which is Apple and some of the other companies. Then you'll usually get Amazon. So Amazon will be long tail. I think Amazon will do incredible off AI in the future. Oh my goodness. So many people, unfortunately. The fulfillment center will not be made up of fulfilling people anymore. It'll be made up of robots, the robot overlords. I mean, Amazon is the clear, absolute, super long-term winner. It's going to be, but then again, you could say, well, maybe it's going to be competition. I think Amazon will do amazing. Meta is about the Instagram. Is Meta advertising? Yeah, but they probably hit you a bit too much on that. I used Marketplace for the first time in 2 weeks ago for a while. I thought half of they're sneaky. I thought half of the ads were bloody sale things, and I kept clicking them. Does that prove I'm old? I don't know. All right, guys, we're coming into the open. Some of the biggest movers for the day, of course, DJT, Trump Media. That was always going to be a very large mover here today. $46.30. Is it a gamble? I would say yes. I would personally, if you're in it, glory, it's fantastic. It actually went 70% pre-market and hit what I would think is a good target, which is about $50. But this one was up big time. Another one that's been winning in the pre-market has been Rumble, and Rumble is up now 12.96%. It was only up 8 before. I actually think this has good price action on it. We went through it at the start of the video if you're interested in checking it out. Yeah, I really feel like that's actually not a bad price action chart, regardless of whatever's going on. Dell. Will Elon buy Truth Social? Holy moly. Is that even what's being floated? I don't know. Review TLT chart. After great CPI and better than expectation, it barely went up. And with today's pre-market, it's basically flat. Yeah, it's a good point. We'll check it out in a minute. Anyway, Rumble, we've got 1 minute till the open market opens. Obviously, we're looking at gold stocks still as well. Tesla, a mover here in the pre-market, was up 3. Let's see what it's up now when it eventually loads. If anything adds in the metaverse, but it's futuristic and risky play. This topic has been tested for 15 years. So owning a strong position in the meta world, however, adds and revenue stream risk. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's pretty risky for the future. Yeah, I agree. All right, so we're opening here at 2.59%. Technically a stock that could do okay might be Tesla through the rest of the session. We're up in, I think the small caps are definitely the biggest component here. We're seeing US 2-year yield down while US 10-year is up. That's the first time we've seen that for a very long time, really. If that continues to be, let's have a look at the US 20Y for a second here. So US 20Y also up and holding. This is bringing that in an uninversion yield curve. You know, this is starting to get down there with where it was last time. Look at that. So, oh, wow. So it's a 1.055. So it's certainly getting closer to uninverted yield curve, which is really a sign that the market is presenting that the Fed is going to have to cut, not necessarily to combat inflation, but actually cutting to pay its own treasury bills, because they're expecting huge, huge big spends. So yeah, that could be inflationary as well again. Let's have a look at TLT. So question was, will TLT go up? I do believe, but I don't think it's a trade. I've said this the same thing for ages. I thought we saw a significant shift down here with huge players coming in. I think this is an excellent long-term buying zone, but I don't really like treasuries for short-term, guys. I like them for like a 12 to 24 month type of opportunity. Are you going to get NVIDIA returns here? No. You might get like a 110, 120 out of them, but you just got to remember it's a different risk asset class. And although it has been risky, it does look like it's low. And of course, I do think that this would mean less treasuries in the markets if all this does end up playing out, and in general, lowering of the yields. Bitcoin, probably the most interesting market today in terms of just general bullishness. I still think that it can get all the way up to around 64 as possible. I said 63.5 over on X, I believe, which is this high up here. So that's where you're kind of seeing a few different things, such as this weird anchor VWAP I've got for some reason. And then we've got bull swing zone. So if we get above 64K, that to me shows the low is most likely in, which I'm already suspecting is in now for crypto markets. So certainly an interesting one. Let's go through some of the big stocks. Apple, a big winner here, 236 today, and NVIDIA up 1. The rest of the tech stocks down. Solar, big loser. Clean energy, not going to do well. That's as expected, really, coming off the news. And then, of course, if we scroll through here, just some of the stocks I've been looking at, kind of some nasty reds, and then some nice positions in things like Hood, Uranium holding its own, Zscaler up a little bit, which has been one I've looked at for a while. And it's a bit of a smattering. Let's have a look at the actual broad market. So I'm going to load that up just now and see which sector is kicking ass. I want to look at XLE as well. Let's have a look at XLE into the open. So opens up 0.5. Do you think SPX is forming a Wyckoff? Looks like a Wyckoff to me. Early days. It takes a while to stop a freight train. So if you're going to see volatility, really needs to come through August into September. It's likely, based on the stats that we showed on our weekend video, that we go kind of bullish from there. 2022 should be uninverted also. That will start to come through here. New tariffs on Chinese EVs. Yes, that is certainly a discussion. Can you show us the yield chart and talk to us about inversion? We did that just a few minutes ago. But if you're interested about inversion, you guys want me to put it in the next at the close? I can put it in the close video. I think I will. So we'll talk inversion and uninversion in the close video today, because of course the US 30-year and 2-year just uninverted this morning. These Monday morning live coverages are so boring and useless, says Botman. All right. Thank you very much, Botman. Stu. And Tom, if you're clicking on Facebook Marketplace ads, then they are making money. Oh, I know, Chris. I know, for sure. Where do you think Microsoft will find base? If it's going to fall, 20 moving average weekly is good. Yeah, no worries, Michael. It's all good. Thank you very much. All right. So XLE, certainly there. Let's just have a quick look at the broad market. I always like to see what's doing well in the opens. And I think it's just going to be a couple of stocks. Really, it's US 2K that should do the best at the moment. Pullbacks, I would think, have to be met by bull demand on this. Okay, let's have a look at the sector. So as we kick off today's session, we get a huge amount of movement in regional banks. Dereg, not a bad thing for the bulls. Banks in general, that's good news for the bulls. Semiconductors actually up a little bit. Energy up as well. So energy, actually one of the best sectors of the day. Losers, solar. No surprise. Solar is the big loser. I'm surprised clean energy isn't down a little bit more. But this is all good sectors. Metals also up, which is nice. Materials, metals and mining. Yeah. I think metals and mining, it's deserved. I wouldn't personally go and chase KRE very often, but it's good news for the short, medium term health for markets to see the banks up. I always say it. If you've got banks doing well, then things are looking like peachy. And why? Because you've got debt everywhere. And banks are now, KRE is now the best performer over the last month. So if we have a look at KRE here, look at that thing. New breakout high, really strong, certainly looking much better. Another one that was interesting was seeing XLRE. Check out this as an uninverted, uninverted head and shoulders. Obviously, inverted head and shoulders here. So very, very, very strong base structure. Yeah, nice. Chris says, Tom, where are the close videos? I don't think I've seen them in the YouTube channel. That's my normal daily show. I do it at the close. No worries, Richard. Thank you very much. NVIDIA up 2%. Yep. No worries, Gold Rush. Very cool. Lululemon just got wrecked. Lulu has a massive competition business, though. What is it? It's in America. I don't think it's here in Australia yet. Does anyone know? What's the major competition? I'm just getting an alert. I'll tell you what it is. Hood crust. So Hood's doing really well this morning. Yeah, it does not surprise me. Hood's breaking through. This stock, it's got triple whammy effect on it. Massive amount of trades coming into the election. Very strong price action. Bitcoin going up. I think a decent amount of interest from retail traders. Whole bunch of new accounts probably opened over the weekend. New core as well. Very strong move here. Really loving. I like the new core chart. Yeah, like the new core chart. Nike is the main one. No, there's another major new company that's like all the fad. I don't know what it's called though. Check out HG and give us your take. Small cap value. Yeah. So, what you mean? HG is in high yield. Oh, copper. Yeah, just sitting at the same prices. Not really too much to take away from this just yet. See how it closes. Obviously, weekly held up barely last week. Hold the 61.8. Need to hold the 61.8. Don't want it underneath there too much. So we'll keep watching copper very closely. The stock I wanted to talk about, though, just quickly here to finish up, was high yield bonds. High yields really showing again strength in the market. So we've got that consolidation, we've got that breach out back in April, and then pretty much most of my bond reads are all bullish at the moment. So bonds across the board impacted by lower yields and generally looking much, much better. Yeah, no worries, Michael. HG equals Hamilton Insurance Group. I got copper on my mind. Is BHP strong as a diversified metal producer or become too diluted? It's a good stock. You just have to buy at the right time. Still mostly trades off iron ore. What about PayPal? AVGO stock split day. Have a look at AVGO if you'd like. Problem with this stock is it's already glorious and it obviously has super boom properties. It's worth 791 billion. You've been running it. I mean, I don't really like trading these. I feel like they're better investment hold assets, as you don't really know where exactly the top is going to be because you're in an AI style bubble. So I think all semis are very much on the bull end still. So the big tech stocks up a little bit. In general, still small caps doing the best. Bitcoin doing well, guys. Gold holding its own. Copper down a bit. Oil down a little bit, but energy still doing well. So I think generally, guys, what I'd be looking at this week. Oh, Tesla's doing really nice now. So you got nice breakouts in Tesla. I'll have a look at DJT to finish up here just to see how it's going in the open. So we're up 32, so already dropping. I just really feel like this is a massive gamble. It's not really worth it. Let's have a look at Rumble, see if it's held that 12%, 6 now. So Rumble's coming back down. Regardless, though, I feel like that is a good price action move. So to me, while it might not be there today, if it does come down, fill gap, or like just on the merits alone of price action, it already looked more positive. So yeah, interesting one. Did it cover silver and gold? Certainly did. Yep, covered a lot. What do you think about clean energy end phase rebounding chart through September? Maybe then, Steve, but at the moment, certainly having some problems. No worries, Chris. Thank you very much. And thank you also, everyone, for coming out. Rich Buddy says, I need this. I've made a few bad gambles, so I need these to pay off. All right, Rich, I hope you get what you need, man, whatever that is. All right, guys, thank you so much. Do I ever do live streams of the Australian market? Generally, no. I mean, I love Australians and love the market, but it's just not, most people don't care as much. So we don't usually do them. But I do talk about Australian stocks in our Market Masters Club. All right, everyone. Well, if you enjoyed today's session, please feel free to give it a like. Thank you so much for the donations, super chats, and everything like that. If you found some value, remember to give it a subscribe. Check us out on X as well. And also, if you want to find out more about finding replication trades, in many ways, the Tesla trade, AMD, Intel, and a lot of the others, Hood as well, they're all replication trades. Gold last week, oil last week, and even copper for a little bit there. Again, all replication trades. They are replicable. The key to the future, in my belief, is position-based trading. And what that basically means is that you need to go from monthlies to weeklies to dailies. We'd show a little bit here. Obviously, we don't go deep into it. I just kind of give you what my knowledge is on these stocks and cycles. But yeah, if you ever want to find out more, check us out, fxevolution.com. Otherwise, if you want to understand more about how we often are lied to about the financial systems and why maybe calls on gold have been going so well, then you can check out our advanced trading masterclass. Cyclical natures of this world and the fact that we keep doing the same thing, turns out as if you go through about 3,000 years of human history, we tend to do the same thing. The Romans, the Greeks, the Egyptians, the Dutch, the British, and now, unfortunately, in some ways, America, we're all doing the same thing over and over again. So there is a replication to the madness, and you can check that out. Anyway, thanks so much. Have a great week. And we'll see you at the close for another show. And by the way, I will be trying to get these closes out earlier. Obviously, there were some big things going on in my life over the last couple of months, but that doesn't really make an excuse. I get the show out. I know it's too late for many people in the US. I do appreciate you watching. So I'm going to try to bring it forward about 2 hours. So yeah, it takes me a while to prep them out, but I will get it done. And I want to bring in some better quality as well. And what I mean by that is just production going up. I think the content's already good, but we'll see what you think. All right. Cheers, guys. Bye for now. See ya.